Okay. I'm just going to read a bit of from the big book. This is my big book. It looks like a Harry Potter wizard's book. And I'm going to read on the steps that I'm working on right now and why they're important to me at the moment in my recovery. So, step 6 and step 10. Step 6 is on page 76 of the big book. We then look at step 6. We have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. Are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we have admitted are objectionable? Can he now take them all, every one? If we still cling to something we will not let go, we ask God to help us be willing. Um, yeah, I definitely was willing to change when I came into DA because I was in such pain and I was such a mess, that when my sponsor asked me, "Are you willing to go to any lengths?" I said yes, because I was afraid that if I didn't go to any lengths, this would not work. And when I came into DA, I was suicidal. I was in such fear over the amount of debt I had, over my creditors. I mean, they were chasing me. I had a company that I had just bankrupt because I knew nothing about running a company. Um, and the business partners I had, they're like, "Do you want to be president?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't research what it was meant to be president of a company. I didn't look at any of the contracts. I just signed them because I thought it would be cool to have a company account and a business card that said president on it. And of course, the company just failed miserably because of my financial decisions. For example, I would hire emotionally. Like, I hired my accountant because I liked her. I didn't hire an accountant that had a great CV and was a good accountant. She was cool, and it was decisions like that, horrible decisions like that, that got me to a place where I really, really wanted to kill myself. So, and I was terrified. Like, I had bankrupt this company. Employees were calling me. I had 2 pregnant employees. I couldn't pay them. I was paying them for my personal money, and I was a mess when I came in here. I had all this on the outside. I was like this cool businesswoman, but on the inside, I was just a mess. I had like negatives in all my accounts. And I was pretending to my fiance. He had no idea. Poor guy. I mean, I was pretending that I had it all together, but inside it was like on a very thin string and it was about to break. So when I came in, my sponsor's like, "Are you willing to go to any lengths?" And I said yes, because I was desperate. And we went through the steps, and when we did steps 4 and 5, I didn't really think it was a spiritual malady until I went through the steps and I saw how my debting was a spiritual malady. Like, I was trying to fill a hole in my soul with spending, with money, with, whatever it was. It was just a disease. I really didn't get that in the beginning, but I really got it when I came into DA. And once I saw my step 4, and then I shared it with my sponsor in step 5, I could see the truth about myself. And I was really willing to change because I really didn't want to go back to step 1, you know? But what happened for me, I came in and I went through the steps in DA and things got much better really quick. And then I forgot about step 1 again. Like, that willingness just kind of went, because I move at the speed of pain, right? So things got better and I got the job, and I started paying all my creditors back. And I was like, thanks, God, and I just kind of went back to doing my old thing. And what happened, I no longer had that willingness, and I came right back to step 1 very quickly. I left DA, I stopped taking my figures, I stopped doing the tools, and I was right back to where I started. And that's cunning, baffling, powerful to me. Cunning, baffling, powerful. Like, how did I come back from the worst debt of my life and be fine, and then stop doing all these tools and stop, applying the spiritual principles, and then crash and burn again? And it was really hard to come back again. But I do believe that there's a higher power, and my higher power is bigger than my pain and bigger than my debt. My sponsor always says God's bank account is bigger than yours. So I really like that. Like, of course it is, because I have like negative, whatever. So anyone's bank account is probably bigger than mine. But anyway, I was willing again to really look at that and start doing it all over again. And for me, willingness is to take suggestion
5 minutes.
and to take action. Thank you. Was that 5 minutes? Okay. Thanks, Casey. To take suggestion and to take action, even though it's really, really hard. And I think it did need to take me to get a bottom again, a second bottom, to realize that this really is a disease, that I really and truly am powerless over this. And I need to be willing to do this on a daily basis, which brings me to step 10, because step 10 is like the daily house cleaning, right? Like, it's the daily, you drop something on the floor, you pick it up immediately, and that's the daily maintenance of that spiritual condition. And I mentioned willingness. I'm willing to do it because I don't want to go back there for the third time. Like, third time is not the charm for me. Like, 2 times was enough, 2 times. And the second time I think was a little worse, because the first time I came in, it was like I could blame it on just being stupid, or like, I didn't know, I'm sick, it's a disease. But the second time, it was like, I should have known better, right? Like, for whatever, and my husband was looking at me like, again, and this was just like, there was a lot of shame, when I returned. But there's a line that I heard in a meeting once, that in God's economy, nothing is wasted. So, what my sponsor said was, this experience, all you got is your experience in the rooms. This particular experience you have is going to be helpful to somebody. And you don't know how your higher power is going to use your particular experience to help other humans. You can't know that. So you just got to show up. And since you're here, I guess he wants you to be here. So I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And it was really hard. It was humbling. And step 10 was a big part of it. I was kind of lazy with my step 10. Step 10 is, that daily maintenance of the spiritual condition, right? So I had to like stop and pause when I had resentment, because resentments could lead me back to deading, because it's a spiritual malady. And if I feed resentments, that could lead me right back to deading, because I'm not feeling good inside. And how do I want to relieve that? I want that sense of ease and comfort when I buy that shirt or go shopping or do whatever, or get more money. I need that sense of ease and comfort. So, so I really have to watch that. And I'm doing a lot of step 10s. I wasn't for a while, because I thought like a resentment would pop up and I would just be like, no big deal. I would like sweep it under the rug. But my sponsor reminded me today that, these resentments, fancied or real, have the power to kill, and they do, because I was suicidal when I came in, so I'm calling my sponsor daily and just like giving her all my resentments, and they seem really silly when I write them out. Like, I had a resentment because I usually have resentment because my partner doesn't know how to read my mind. And I'm like hugely resentful that he doesn't know how to read my mind, And as I'm writing it, I'm like, this is so dumb. But, as it's happening, I'm furious, and I write it out. I call my sponsor. We talk about it. What's going on there? It's usually a fear of what other people think of me, or a fear of not being good enough. Those two things, or ego. I think I know better than God how he should act. And, then I go I share that with my sponsor, and then I go into step 6. Like, am I willing to have my higher power change my heart so I don't go back to deading? Yes. So I sit down, I ask my higher power, I said, I find this objectionable. I don't want to feel this way. Help
1
me.
minute.
Thank you. And I sit down and I close my eyes and I just ask for help. And sometimes the answers come, more often than not. And really often it's doing the opposite action of my defect, which is really hard. So going and giving my fiance a hug instead of punching him in the stomach, or, just whatever the opposite of my defect is. So it's not enough just for me to be like, remove it, God, just remove it. I have to actually put some action in, and that's the willingness too, So I sit down, I think, what would be the opposite, like nice principled action to do here? And sometimes it's just to tell the truth. Like, hey, honey, you know what? It bothers me when you do this because I also keep silent really often because I have a fear what you think of me. And then I expect you to read my mind and I'm silent and then I'm resentful to you, right? So sometimes the principled action is to tell the truth. And this time around, it's been really a spiritual journey for me. And it is a spiritual program because it's a spiritual malady. And I didn't really realize that the first time I was desperate, but I just thought it was more of an action program. But now I'm just really connecting with my higher power. Thank you, Casey. I'll finish on this. And asking my higher power to change my heart and working with my higher power to change my heart because I don't want to go back to that feeling of desperation that I had when I came in. So that's all I have to share. And thank you for letting me share today. Thanks, Casey. And thanks, Gabrielle.